Well, I got to say one thing about Ben Bernanke. He actually has something right about something. I'll tell you that. Well, let me cut to right to the chase. It's about the $10 bill. Secretary of Treasury Lew is thinking about replacing Hamilton or having Alexander Hamilton, who's currently on a $10 bill, share a spot with a woman, yet to be undetermined woman. Actually, I put something out about Annie Oakley. But, when I think about this, there's another thing even Ben Bernanke is not thinking of, but maybe he is thinking of it and he's not just saying. But I have to say this, according to Ben Bernanke anyway, he says that, and this makes perfect sense, Alexander Hamilton was our first Secretary of Treasury. He basically established the currency and got us on a fiscal right track here in the United States when the United States was still an extremely young country. He's definitely one of the founders, a big time Declaration of Independence, and the Constitution, the whole 9 yards, right? But, to take him off the money and just for political correctness is bullshit. But here's something else. It's almost like rebranding something. The dollar's got power partly because psychologically people think it's got power. It's almost like when they changed the taste of Coke. You remember that way back when, decades ago, when they changed the taste of Coca-Cola and they went from to the new Coke, and Pepsi was jumping for joy. They screwed up. It's not bad, but and it was like people were more, there was all these different problems going on in the world. There was the deficit spending and trade imbalance. But, I can handle that, but don't change the taste of Coke. Don't change the freaking package. Don't change the original. That's one thing. If they change this dollar to $10, they could do the next one, right? They'll do something else. If they change that around, psychologically, people will understand, hey, something's different about our money. It just calls things into question. It's almost like out of sight, out of mind. The public still sees the same symbols, so we got the strength of the United States. Hey, you know what? They're not going to be able to freaking brainwash people into, actually I think they had the one with the, there was a coin that was $1 with a woman on it, and they took it out of circulation because nobody wanted it. But they're not going to, I don't know if they're necessarily going to take out the $10 bill or anything like that. But the point is, to me, it's psychologically alerting the public that something has changed. And you don't change stuff that's classic. That's one thing that gets me too. I mean, a good-looking woman in the 50s is still good-looking today. And it's almost like the same thing what worked decades ago in the 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, it works today. If it was, except in the 60s, they started getting into Twiggy, but, that was another story. But, if they changed, to go to the newest radical type things, just because it's politically correct, it's going to turn people off from the dollar itself. And that's what I'm looking at it. I know Ben Bernanke's got his arguments are good, about Alexander Hamilton being, the first U.S. Secretary of Treasury, the one that got us on a sound money system in the first place when the nation was young. But, if they're going to change, the person, Alexander Hamilton, put a woman on it, then they'll say, oh, somebody's offended by this person because of that, and somebody's offended by that. Why not put a cartoon character on a freaking bill so nobody's offended? You can have a bird with a, looking like they're the head of the Federal Reserve with a, funny haircut and stuff. And, hey, it's not a person. I'm not offended. Maybe the birds will be offended. But you know what? People are going to look at the money physically and look at it and going to say to themselves, just something. It's just psychologically, they're not going to like it. And I'm going to tell you this. A lot of people don't think about, this is real America right here. You can't argue that. But a lot of people do not think about the money. They don't think about, the electrons going here and there and when they transfer money. They don't think about that, right? Because they get the actual hard goods that they need, in their everyday life. The food, the water, the heat, the air conditioning, their clothing, their gas in their car, their materials that they need. Their real stuff. I guess money could be considered just a medium of exchange. But then, if there's always, all this, we all know about the deficit spending, the record trillions of, over 18 trillion in debt. People, when they see a physical change in the money itself, they're going to start having doubts on the money. That's why you shouldn't screw with it. That is my reason why. I know Bernanke's got excellent reasons why. But something that's classic, you don't want to mess with. You don't want to mess with what represents true America. You don't want to mess with that. Whether it's classic Coke or Hollywood starlets or whatever they are, or classic cars or whatever, classic bikes, classic beer, you do not want to mess with it. And once you do that, once the genie's out of the bottle, once you changed it, you can't go back. It was interesting, like when they went to with the Coke and they went to the new Coke. Boy, that was a mistake and a half. They had to go back and they had to introduce Coke Classic. And actually, I don't even know what the sales are today. Probably Coke Classic is probably stronger sales. But, if people are used to something, you don't screw with it. You don't screw with it. As it is, our currency is just like a guy's. It's always been a guy's, actually. Now it's really backed by what? Nothing. Well, I guess the petro oil system. But, when you're freaking screwing with something psychologically, it's like, let's say you change the flag in the United States. You think you're freaking it's going to have the same psychological impact? No. And see, that's what this Lew guy is not thinking of, man. Hey, he's freaking yo-yo, man. He should have been over there in Benghazi with Christopher, what is his name out there that got killed in Benghazi? Because, it's like these people are not thinking past their nose. It's a matter of, if you got something and the public feels comfortable with the current money, the way it is, and they look at it and they say, this is money, because they looked at this, they made the picture of the president's a little bit bigger or whatever's on a dollar, the $5, the $10, but it looks basically the same. It's been that way for over 100 years, right? It's been basically the same. You start messing with something like that, psychologically, people are going to call to attention something's changed. And to me, it's going to create a less demand for the dollar, almost like when Coca-Cola changed its formula to the new Coke and they got rid of the thing, and that was they had to bring it back. They had to bring back the classic. Now, Lew, Secretary of Treasury Lew, this is not his intention to freaking wreck the dollar like this right away, but in effect, these guys really aren't thinking. They got a winning brand formula that people are used to. Do not screw with it. I don't know, man. It's going to come back down to, it's going to make another argument for like hard money. Silver, copper, something, gold, right? So it's going to make another argument for hard money. Because when people look at, the new dollar, it's just going to click in their mind. What is this? What's going on? What's going on? They changed it. You just can't freaking just do things like that. It's almost like taking the American flag and, inverting the colors or, changing people around in physical appearance and stuff. It's just not what people are used to psychologically. So I think it is a major mistake, but I don't really give a shit, to tell you the truth, because that's the only way this shit's going to come down, is when the smartest people in the world, they outsmart themselves, they paint themselves in a corner, and they say, oh shit, I screwed up and it's too late, the genie's out of the bottle, and it's a done deal. That's exactly how it's going to have to work. So it's almost like let them ride, man. Let them ride, I mean, if they want to change, if you want to put this lady on $1, go ahead. You want to put this lady on a $5, fine, go ahead. They could put, I'd rather have her on there, but, even if you put her on there, it's not the same money. It alerts the people like